The Pentagon is preparing for a dramatic escalation, and the U.S. troops are battle-ready inside their own country. A report claims that more than 1,000 U.S. troops will now enter the U.S. city of Minneapolis. This as the Trump administration and ICE federal agents are facing a tough situation in the blue state over deadly immigration crackdown. About 1,500 active-duty U.S. soldiers have been placed on prepare-to-deploy orders amid growing unrest in Minnesota, according to the Washington Post. U.S. defense officials say the move is precautionary, triggered by fears that protests against the government's deportation drive could spiral into wider violence. The troops are not yet deployed, and officials stress it remains unclear whether they will be sent at all. The Pentagon and the White House have so far declined to comment on the report. Tensions are running high in Minneapolis after an Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent shot and killed 37-year-old U.S. mom Renee Good on January 7th. Protests have surged across the state, with demonstrators targeting immigration enforcement operations. President Donald Trump has now issued a stark warning. In a post on Truth Social, Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act if Minnesota officials failed to stop what he called professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking ICE agents. Trump accused state leaders of ignoring the law and vowed to deploy federal force if the situation worsens.
The trigger for the Insurrection Act in Minnesota, what are you waiting for?
Well, the Insurrection Act, which has been used by 48% of the presidents as of this moment, the Insurrection Act also, if you look at it, I believe it was Bush, the elder Bush, he used it, I think, 28 times. It's been used a lot. And if I needed it, I'd use it. I don't think there's any reason right now to use it, but if I needed it, I'd use it. It's very powerful.
The soldiers placed on alert belong to 2 U.S. Army infantry battalions under the 11th Airborne Division, based in Alaska. The Insurrection Act is a rarely used federal law that allows a president to deploy active-duty military forces or federalize National Guard units to suppress domestic unrest. It can be invoked when unlawful obstructions or rebellion are deemed to threaten federal authority. If activated, the president can order the military to enforce laws or quell what is defined as an uprising.
Do you have any plans to pull out of Minnesota?
No plans to pull out of Minnesota.
How would you describe what you were seeing on the ground there? Would you describe it as an insurrection, and do you believe the president should invoke the Insurrection Act?
I describe it as violent and a violation of the law in many places. I discussed with the president this morning several things that we are dealing with under the department and different operations. We did discuss the Insurrection Act. He certainly has the constitutional authority to utilize that. My hope is that this leadership team in Minnesota will start to work with us to get criminals off the streets. Remember, we are there in surged operations because of the largest fraud scheme in American history. We had people stealing from taxpayers, stealing funds away from the most vulnerable individuals in this country, people who needed mental health services, developmental services, autism, daycare. Instead, individuals came in, much from the Somalian community, and stole dollars from those people who needed it and put it in their own pockets and enriched themselves. Did it right under Governor Walz's nose, and we believe that he didn't just know about it, that he may be complicit in it as well.
Thank you,
Secretary. Do you believe there are any cases in Minnesota where the ICE agents have gone too far?
Our ICE agents are following the law and running their operations according to training. Last night what we saw was 3 individuals weaponize shovels and brooms and attack an ICE officer that had to defend himself. So we're hopeful that we don't see that again, that we as protesters and violent rioters will be held accountable for the actions that they're taking and that our officers can do their work safely. President Trump is so strong at taking action and making sure he's in every single state following through on his commitments to every single citizen.
Did the president say what his final straw would be to invoke the Insurrection Act if he did?
No, this president uses all the information and intelligence that he can get. That's why he calls me, he calls Pete, he calls local law enforcement. He talks to those individuals and agents as well that are involved that he knows well. This president makes fully informed decisions and utilizes his authorities when it's appropriate.
Secretary Noem,
Yes.
are you okay with federal agents and officers violating people's Fourth Amendment rights by asking for papers without reasonable suspicion?
Every single action that our ICE officers take is according to the law and following protocols that we have used for years, that this administration has used, that the previous administration used. They are doing everything correctly, and over again in litigation in the courts, we've proven that they've done the right thing.
Why is it within their right to do that? Why is it within their right to ask for papers without reasonable suspicion?
With the president,
Okay. I think
you
it's
say you
important.
discussed the Insurrection Act with the president. Did you recommend that?
No, we just discussed it, that it was one of the options that he had constitutionally, and we talked about the fact that we're going to continue our operations in Minneapolis and have the resources that we need to get the job done.
Do you think politely invoke it?
Yes.
Do you think that there needs to be an Insurrection Act invoked?
Oh, I think that the president has that opportunity in the future. It's his constitutional right, and it's up to him if he wants
Do you
to utilize
think he's
it.
likely to do it?
I don't know.
But
You'd
if he
ask
does
him.
do it,
Will it lead to more deadly killings in Minnesota if the Insurrection Act is invoked?
If anything doesn't change with Governor Walz, I don't anticipate that the streets will get any safer or more peaceful. Governor Walz and his leadership team need to come to us and find out how we can work together like we have in many other states. We didn't see this kind of reaction in Louisiana.
For now, Minnesota remains on edge, and the nation watches closely as the line between protest and military intervention draws nearer.
Behind closed doors in Washington, D.C., something unusual is happening inside Donald Trump's inner circle. For the first time since returning to the White House, some of the president's own advisors are quietly questioning the optics of his aggressive immigration crackdown. Private Republican polling reviewed by Trump's team has set off alarm bells. Support for his immigration policies is slipping, especially among independents, moderates, and minority voters. This is the very coalition that powered his razor-thin victory in 2024. And as chaotic scenes from Minnesota flood television screens and social media feeds, those worries are growing louder. Axios has reported that advisors are now floating a single word: recalibration. Not retreat, not reversal, just adjustment. The concern isn't about deportations themselves. Trump still wants mass deportations. What's troubling him, aides say, is how it looks. Masked agents, chaotic raids, viral videos that dominate headlines and drown out the White House's messaging on inflation and cost of living issues, topics Republicans believe resonate far more with voters ahead of the midterms. One senior advisor put it bluntly: Trump doesn't like what people are seeing. It looks bad, and the numbers back it up. Internal GOP polling conducted late December showed 60% of independents and nearly 6 in 10 undecided voters believe Trump is too focused on deporting undocumented immigrants. A third said the administration is primarily targeting law-abiding people, not criminals. Public polls are even harsher. CNN and YouGov now show a majority of Americans believe ICE's tactics are making cities less safe, though some surveys, like the AP NORC poll, have found Republicans to be supportive of Trump's immigration policy.
We wanted to know how Trump's own supporters are feeling about the first year of his second term. There are some signs in our new AP NORC poll that they may be disappointed with his performance on the economy. On the other hand, they seem to be getting what they want from his presidency in other ways. The poll found that only about half of Republicans say that Trump has done more to help on cost of living since he took office, which was a key campaign promise. That's not an especially promising sign given that when we asked them about his first term 2 years ago, the vast majority of Republicans said that he helped on this issue. So that's a sign that he may not be living up to expectations. But for the most part, Republicans do seem happy. We heard in follow-up interviews that they're willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on the economy and let him take some more time to figure that out. About 8 in 10 Republicans approve of the way the president is handling his job overall, and for the most part, they seem happy with his performance on immigration. The vast majority of Republicans say he's done more to help on that issue so far, and that's consistent with how they rated his first term, too. So even though the first year may not have been everything that Trump supporters wanted, they still seem happy with the president at this point.
If Republicans lose their slim House majority in November, Trump enters his final 2 years as a lame duck, and by his own admission, potentially facing a third impeachment. Even longtime allies are speaking out. Podcaster Joe Rogan, who endorsed Trump just before the presidential election in 2024, warned of militarized groups roaming the streets, asking whether America is drifting toward papers, please policing. Meanwhile, friction is exploding on the ground. ICE faces resistance in sanctuary cities like Minneapolis and St. Paul, where local officials refuse to cooperate. Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz has encouraged peaceful protests. The state is now suing to block the federal crackdown.
Donald Trump wants this chaos. He wants confusion. And yes, he wants more violence on our streets. We cannot give him what he wants. We must protest loudly, urgently, but also peacefully.
But the White House's response remains escalation. Trump has threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act. More federal agents are being sent in.
There's 3 sections to the Insurrection Act. The first section says, if the governor requests the assistance of federal troops, the president may deploy them. The second one, and I want to get the language just so I don't say it wrong. The second section of the Insurrection Act says that the president can deploy federal troops even against the state's wishes in order to, quote, enforce the laws or to suppress rebellion against the U.S. government. There is no question that the president of the United States can use the Insurrection Act as legal authority to call out National Guard troops. The last time this was done was in 1992 by George Herbert Walker Bush because of the riots in L.A. The second question, though, is what can they do once they're there? And my response is they can't do very much because they cannot engage in law enforcement.
White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem remain firmly in charge, with Trump's full backing. Can this hardline strategy win the war against illegal immigration without losing the voters who decide the next election?